All right, outsider. All right, what's up, everyone? Rich Catino,
We're with the
Jack.
Dawn Rider.
That's yes, Rich Catino and Jack Mangan. You back at it again. We're doing things a little differently. This is not a live stream, as you can tell.
Not this one, at least.
So yeah, it's been a while. So really quick before we get to our amazing guest, who I'm a huge fan, thrilled to talk to this guy again. Got a lot of exciting stuff going on. You know me, Metal Hall of Fame and Am I Evil, and Support Life and Music. This is my new venture. Is a nonprofit to kind of fight back against musician self-destruction, suicide. So check it out. Ask me questions about it. But enough about me. My buddy in New Jersey there, Rich Catino.
Rich Catino from MetalAsylum. I write for Brave Words, Metal Hall of Fame. Contribute to Sea of Tranquility once in a while. And Metal Mayhem ROC Radio too. I've been actually contributing some songs to them because they look for some new wave of traditional heavy metal bands, as we're speaking to Jarvis here. So I've been giving them some selections for the past, I guess, month. So it's been cool. Yeah.
All right. And our guest of honor, Jarvis Leatherby from the incredible band Night Demon, who are really one of the best of the new wave of traditional heavy metal. This guy's got a lot of stuff going on. I'm not going to speak for him. Jarvis, thanks so much for joining us today, man.
Yeah. Thanks so much. I'm happy to be here. I'm pretty exhausted. I'll just tell you right now, but it's okay. I'm actually, I'm in Nashville right now in a hotel room. Is the air conditioner too loud in the background?
No, we don't even hear it.
Okay, cool. All right. Cool.
Yeah, it's all good.
Okay, cool. All right, no problem. I'll sweat it out for you guys if it's.
No, you're good.
Well,
all right, thanks for having me.
Yeah, this is a 6-hour interview.
Thanks for coming
back. No. 30 minutes. I think we're going to be good at 30 minutes. We'll let you go.
No worries.
Yeah.
So, Rich, why don't you get us started?
Should we finish off our conversation before we went? Real quick. I mean, what we were talking about it, right?
Go for it.
So we were talking about how the new wave of British heavy metal bands, a lot of them are still around putting out new music, great records, right? We were talking about Tigers of Pantang, Diamond Head, Satan, right? There's a bunch of them. So when we were talking about Tigers, I was talking about the couple records from the 80s that are a little more, melodic AOR rock, like the Wreck Gauge, and I think it's Burning in the Sun, I think it's called. So as we were talking about that, Jarvis came on, and I don't know how we got into the Kiss realm, right? You brought up Pot in the Shade and a couple of those records like Animalize. Mm-hmm. So what was your reasoning for bringing them up?
Well, I'm just saying, your memory fails you a lot. It's kind of like when you think about, an ex-girlfriend or something, you think about the good times and then you try and relight that old flame and you're like right back there. You're like, oh shit, but well, maybe that's a little bit different. I'm just saying that when you love a band,
mm-hmm.
when you love a band, and the band evolves like a band should, right? Mm-hmm. I'm not against that. There's a lot of missteps in your favorite band's career. And later on, when you're just burnt on the classics, how many times can I listen to the makeup era of Kiss before, 30 years later, 40 years later, right? It's like, well, let me give Hot in the Shade a chance. At least it's kind of like new music to me now,
Yeah.
And that I'm talking about any band, I've revisited some later albums of some other bands I love. And to be honest, most of them I've been like, okay, yeah, no, it is to my ears garbage, not to say that my opinion matters, but to me, I'm just like, well, I try. But some of them, you're just like, okay, great. The DNA of the band is there and now I can enjoy it. At the time, you kind of want somewhat more of the same. A slight progression is okay, but the problem with the new wave of British heavy metal is it got so big so quick in the underground and all the bands got signed to majors and then tried to be a major label type band and went away from their sound instead of bringing their sound to the masses. And so there's a lot of mid-'80s new wave of British heavy metal records that in my mind are just they're no comparison to what happened when they were quote unquote sweet and innocent,
So those two
nice
Tigers
reference.
records that I mentioned, you're not terribly a fan of them.
I've got a lot of respect for Tigers, but the thing
Yeah.
is, it's like when you look at those records,
Right. They're different.
yeah, but like if you look at them in order, it's like you have a span. You have like the first record, like Wildcat, and you've got
Right.
like Jess Cox on vocals, and then you switch, right?
Yeah.
And you've got a greater vocalist, and then you get John Sykes, and then you got, you know, Spellbound, and you've got all this stuff.
Yeah.
And then from there, it's like, yeah, if you can look at it with innocent eyes, I'm sure they're great records. But, you know, at the time, you know, after hearing the first 3 albums, it's like, it's really hard, you know, it's a totally different band. But I have a ton of respect for Tigers and Rob and everything he's doing. And yeah, I mean, come on. Yeah, no. And listen, it doesn't matter what I think. Who cares what I think?
Right.
It really doesn't matter. It really doesn't
It's
matter.
just a cool conversation we were having because you mentioned.
But I'm happy that you like it. I really am, because goddamn, those guys put a lot of work into those records, you know?
So you mentioned Kiss like Animalize or Hot in the Shade. So what's your perspective on listening to those records now years later?
I've gotten older, and I'm a sucker for like a good Desmond Child song, you know?
Right. I know. Big hooks, man, are awesome.
I'm so much more emotional in my age, you know? Like I'm not a thrash metal kid anymore. You know what I mean? I don't want to fuck shit up in the pit. I just want to, you know, think about my life and, you know, my family and, you know, so yeah, no, I identify it much more than I did when I was younger. And you know, and even when I was younger, I was a generation after that, you know, but still I got into the early stuff first and you know, but before the internet, you know, in the record store, you just had to look at an album cover, and sometimes you brought a record home and you realized like, okay, this is not the Kiss that I know, you know, and it took, if you didn't know the backstory, it almost kind of went in the garbage bin, you know? So now with the internet, you can do the deep dive and go down the rabbit hole, and it's a beautiful thing.
Yeah. I mean, I felt the same way when Kiss did Unmasked and Dynasty and The Elder, but then they came back with Creatures and Lick It Up, and it was back to being heavy again. So, you know.
Yeah, but now go back and look at like Unmasked. Like,
oh, dude, I love it now. I appreciate it so much more now.
Shandy is like one of my favorite songs.
Oh, Is That You? And She's So European and Tomorrow.
Yeah. Is it you? Yeah, dude.
So good, man. So good.
I love it.
I'll just say I always loved Animalize. I cherish that cassette, you know, and I never, you know, back then, you're like you just said, Jarvis, it was never like, well, this isn't the real Kiss, because the real Kiss was 5 years ago. It was like, this is Kiss. And
that's it, man.
Asylum.
Like, and now look, and Asylum was great, but now look, they're back Unmasked. So like, let's we're gonna hear those songs again, I'm sure. You know, they're back.
All right. Well, we're out of time. Nice talking to you, Jarvis.
I'm take care, guys.
I'm just fucking around. So
hey, that's a great way to start off, though. I love it.
Yeah, no. This is what it's all about. Absolutely, what it's all about. Because I mean, like we said, Night Demon is all. I mean, you guys have such a. I don't want to make it. This isn't a backhanded compliment. You guys are definitely modern and relevant and powerful for today. But there's such a great throwback sound to what you guys do. I think. I don't know, like that's something we've talked about a lot. And they're like, you know, I caught the Diamond Head reference there earlier. I mean, there's just so much of that stuff in there. That wasn't really a question.
No, but thank you. No, just that's it's in our DNA, right? You know, and if you really, you know, especially for the Night Demon hardcore fans, like if you really listen to the music, I'm shocked that there is actually like a lot of innovation there in what we do, because it wasn't intentional. It was like things we do out of necessity, out of being a 3-piece band, and musicians commented on it all the time. Like, why didn't I ever think to do that? Harmonies with the guitar and the bass, or, you know, just strange stuff like that. And we just kind of did it out of necessity. So, but yes, I mean, we love what we love, you know, musically, and that's always going to kind of be there, is even as we progress as a band, and we try some wild shit nowadays, and that's cool. Like we're good with that. The records that we've made, they're not going anywhere. We're probably not going to make more than 5 albums as a band, you know. It doesn't mean we'll stop playing, but we've never known any bands we love to make more great albums than that, you know. So we take our time, and we really put the care into the songwriting, and scrutinize every little detail. And still to this day, you know, even in an opening slot where we're playing 30 minutes, you'll hear stuff off the first EP. You'll hear stuff off every album, you know. So we want to keep that integrity.
So wow, that's kind of I think you just dropped a little bit of a bomb there. So really, there's not going to be a lot more Night Demon albums than what we have.
I think we have 2 more full lengths in us. That'll be spread out over probably until 2029, 2030. I'm not saying we won't do a single here and there after that, but I would love to put all of our effort into a single or something like that, you know, and have that added to the catalog as something that's memorable to the fans that they want to hear on every tour. Because, you know, you get into the cycle where, you know, some of my favorite bands, you know, some of them have 10 to 20 albums, and it's like, you know, the Scorpions put out a couple albums in the early 2000s that had some real bangers on it, you know, and I they were catchy, and I was like, wow, these are great songs. They're better than some of the songs they did in the 90s. But what you do is, you know, I'd go see them year after year, and they'd play those couple songs, and they were great additions to the set. But then the next year, the next album would come out, and those 2 songs, it's like they never existed.
Yeah.
And I want to avoid that. And it's about quality over quantity. And I mean, really think about your favorite bands of all time. It's the first 4 or 5 albums versus the first 10 years. Because back in the day, bands used to put out an album a year. So that's what it is. To go over the first 10 years versus the first 4 or 5 albums. That's the meat, you know, and everything after that, there may be 1 or 2 good tracks. And that's exactly what I want to do. The blueprint's been laid. I don't need to try and be some anomaly. You know, I'm not better than these guys. I just want to be of them.
Cool.
Wow.
So hold on, Jack, before you get a question in.
No, go ahead, Rich.
We were talking about, you know, you're talking about how they're influenced by what they're influenced by, and it's in their sound, in the Night Demon sound. One of my questions was, since you're so influenced by the new wave of British heavy metal, what are your top 5 new wave of British heavy metal albums and why? Just 5.
Okay, Diamond Head Lighting to the Nations, because we touched on it. I mean, it's incredible. The songwriting and the guitar riffing and the vocals, I mean, it's phenomenal. And I highly recommend people actually go listen to that album. Not just the songs that either Metallica or Night Demon has covered, but there's other songs, you know, Streets of Gold, Shoot Out the Lights. I mean, really, really deep cuts on a very short album, but it's pretty much perfection, you know. It's very raw sounding. It's a great, great, great album. I think Metallica should get a lot of credit for championing that band. But still, it was easy for them because those songs are incredible. They are incredible. They really, really, really
and
are.
And they're catchy too.
They have everything you want in a song, and they do it over and over and over again on that record. You know, well, and there's some cuts on Borrowed Time, and there's some stuff, you know, after that. But as a complete work, I mean, that's it.
Yeah, In the Heat of the Night is great from later.
I love that song.
Yeah,
yes, well, I love that song.
Hey, I don't want to detour you too far because I know Rich gave you some homework here. But what do you think of they did the re-recording? They did the whole album over with the current singer with Raz. I mean, what do you think of? I mean, of course, I love the Sean version, but I love the new one too. That's me. What do you think?
I think they could do whatever they want. You know what I mean? Like, I think they could do whatever they want. I think they've been forced, you know, Brian especially, he's been forced to play these songs that he wrote in 1979, 1980 for 45 years. So like if he's reimagined them over the course of that time, he can do what he wants. They're his songs. It's not taking the old album away. Like, it's great because, I mean, the band's been playing live for so long now. You're going to go see the band and see how they do it. It's like, wouldn't you want to know, like, wouldn't you want to take that home with you? You know, I love it. I think that the more variety you have out there is great. It's if you're not pulling Bob Daisley and Lee Kerslake off the albums, you're fine. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
plus it's still out there remastered. The original's still out there.
That's what I'm saying.
And they remastered it. It sounds great.
There's an article that a buddy of ours wrote. Matthew Schmidt is his name. And he goes way deep into like that album, and there are in every version that's ever been out there, and it's very in depth about their remix, their remastered. There's over 10 versions of that album out there that you can buy right now that have a different sound, you know.
Yeah.
So why not re-record them with the band? I mean, the guys in Diamond Head have been in the band way longer than the original guys. You know, you're talking decades now, the current lineup. So yeah, I love it. Give me more of that. You know, if a band wants to reimagine a song, let's hear it. It just, if you don't have to listen to it, but, and you know, I believe those guys still own the publishing. So, you know, they don't own the master rights possibly, you know, to the original. So if they deserve some cash, you know, so go ahead and re-record it and do that. Have more power to them. It's their music. And that's where I draw the line with the fans. It's like, you don't have to support anything you don't want to. I know you'll talk shit about it. Nobody asked you, but you will. But
as long as the original's still out there, right? You got your original still.
Exactly. If a band is trying to erase their history, then I may take issue with that. But again, it's like I'll keep that opinion to myself. But yeah, I'm all for it.
Okay.
Which are the four?
Yeah. So Jaguar Power Games.
Oh, cool.
I got to sing for that band for a few years, and it was incredible. Paul Merrill, between him and Sean Harris, I kind of learned how to sing. It's an incredible album. It's completely unhinged. It's the fastest thing around for that time period. It's so punk rock, but it has a ton of melody, great lyrics. That's an amazing record. I'm gonna go with obviously the self-titled Angel Witch. And probably my least favorite song is the song Angel Witch from the album Angel Witch by the band Angel Witch. You know, it's an anthem. It's an anthem. Yeah. But if you really listen to that record, it's great. And there's deluxe reissues of that album too that have the singles on it, like Suffer and Loser and Hades Paradise and all this stuff. That it's just iconic. It's cannot be touched. To me, I think even if you look at those between the three I've mentioned so far, that would, if I had to say like this is a perfect album, it would be that that self-titled Angel Witch. I'm gonna also go with Satan Court in the Act. Cool. You know, the five guys on that album are still playing today together, the same five. They've done 5 albums since reforming in 2014 or 2012, 2013, something around there. Maybe 2011. Shit, sorry, I should know this. But Life Sentence, Atom by Atom, Cruel Magic, you know, Songs in Crimson, and the other album I should know because I executive produced it. But look, those guys, they're writing high quality now, but that album, I mean, it's a seminal record. And again, listen to the deep cuts on that album. Listen to it's backloaded, man. It's got the best intro, but it's backloaded. And there is no other band, not a single band from the new wave of British heavy metal that has their lineup intact completely. And they're the only ones. And they're also the only NWOBHM band that tours the USA pretty much every year, sometimes twice a year. So I give it up to them for that. And so for my fifth one, this is always hard because the last one, right? And I'm doing these off the cuff, but I do believe in this, and that's why it's kind of natural. You know, if I looked at a list, it would be a little bit more difficult, right? But the ones that come right to your head, that's kind of what matters, right? You know, that's really the deal. Tough, man, for the last one. We were talking Tiger's Spellbound earlier. I kind of have to put that in there. But that might be a tie. Maybe Raven All for One. I'll probably have to go with. I'll probably have to go with Raven All for One. I don't consider. Well, there are some other bands on the fringes. You know, Witchfinder General, Venom. It's tough. Praying Mantis. I'm gonna go with Raven though, because those guys are my boys. They gave us our break. They took us on our first tour ever. We were unsigned. We had nothing. We had no agent, and they took us out for 60 days. And they showed us how to do it. They really did. You know, they showed us how to be 3 guys on stage. So Raven All for One. yeah. And just
Nice.
enough said. I mean, just listen to that album. Yeah,
That's
Right?
great. Well,
it sounds like it would look, you know.
Yeah.
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 All
No,
right,
those are
Jack, go
great
ahead.
choices. Well, I mean, I'll say a quick comment, then I have two more questions for you, Jarvis, but I've got to say really quickly, that's a great list. I totally agree with all of them. The Tigers is definitely in there. For me, Diamond Head is such a pinnacle for me. But yeah, I got to say, I saw Raven live, I guess 2 years ago. They're all old gentlemen now, but they were on a bill with a whole bunch of other bands. They were the most raucous, just craziest band out of them all. Like even, there's Senior Citizenhood. So hats
I
off to
got to
them.
see them last week. It's the same thing. They put on a clinic, man. You
Yeah.
know?
Cool.
So, well, I mean, actually, that's a perfect segue because I want to ask you the first of my two questions. I want to talk about the Night Demon live experience, and I'm going to say I'm going to say my observation. I want to hear your thoughts on this, Jarvis. So, I've seen you twice opening as the opening act, and it's funny. The crowd for Night Demon that I've observed, like half the crowd knows every single lyric and knows it like everything. The other half maybe are less familiar, but by the end of your set, the whole place is chanting Night Demon. Like the whole you convert people like like every night. So have you kind of seen the same thing like when you guys play live? Are you seeing people being won over? People are maybe there to see King Diamond, but they catch you guys and then they're won over.
Well, to be honest, as a band that's been touring for 10 years now, including the pandemic, so 8 years, and played almost 900 shows, I'm one of the few people that has never seen Night Demon live. So, and the few, I mean, the other two guys, the three guys on stage, I always wonder, how do we look? You know what I mean? But the thing is, we've dedicated ourselves to going to small towns over and over again, to the point where people travel to major markets. And when we open for a band, it's kind of like they're like in a gang, like the Night Demon crew. There's custom battle vests that fully dedicated to the band, making homemade stuff that just like,
you guys got great patches, by the way.
yeah, thank you.
Very nice,
Thank you.
very nice.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You should see the ones that are like one-offs that these fans make. They're incredible.
That's
like
awesome.
I get ideas from them, but they kind of feel like, in the last 20 years, metal's kind of died a very horrible death in America. And I think that a lot of people have found us and we've kind of rejuvenated their enthusiasm for what can be. And it's a flash to the old school, but it's current and it's happening now. And they feel a big part of that. So when they go to see us support a band, they line up on the barricade like a gang, and they're not like standoffish to non-believers or people that don't know us. They're encouraging them almost. So like when you see people sing the words, because we don't care, like we'll stop. There'll be parts in a song where we'll stop the song so the audience can sing the words, even if there's only one person singing it. Sometimes people around them, when that happens, like I've been at concerts before where I don't know the band that well, and then everybody sings a part, and I kind of feel like I'm missing out on something, like, wow, I should know this, right? And then I kind of think, well, all these people think it's cool, so I guess it's just kind of one of those things. But look, we're just there to give the best performance we can. We understand that it's entertainment and that's what we have to do. So we'll work as hard as we can up there and leave it all on the stage. And that's kind of how we earn it. It's almost like it's beyond the music. The music is mechanical to us. It's more about the performance. And I think that's what people really gravitate towards. And, it's hard to translate that on record. I think we've made some good albums, but you always want to sound how you sound live. And that's why we put out a live album very early in the band's career. People always said, why are you doing this now? And I'm like, because my favorite bands, I wanted a live album after their second record, but they're just bootlegs that sound like shit, like I wanted a real live album. So we did that. And now people ask for the live album all the time. New fans at the merch table at shows, so it's all about the live experience for us. And it's about being there. We get offered to live stream all the time at different shows, and we always decline it. It's like, sometimes we have to do it, but if you're not there, you're nowhere. That's our theory, you know, like we're really in the moment at that point, and we really want to suck people into that. And so I think so far so good, you know, it's worked. And to your credit of what you've observed, that's the best way I could describe it.
Excellent. Yeah, no, I mean, it's a great show. Between the Night Demon coming out, you know, for the Chalice, and it's that always gets a huge reaction. It's cool to see. It's cool, you know, as a pre-existing fan, it's cool to see like the like I said, people were there for Blind Guardian or Queensryche or whoever, you know, getting converted.
Yeah.
It's awesome. So, all right, Rich,
all right,
what do you got?
So we got your top 5 new wave of British heavy metal bands. So since you guys are one of the leaders of the new wave of traditional heavy metal, give me your top 5 favorite new wave of traditional heavy metal bands or albums.
Man, I gotta say,
from your peers.
No, I gotta say, like, there's so many I'm gonna leave out. I don't know if I want to say this, you know, because I respect I respect every band that's making a record at all these days. It's not easy, you know, and then to release.
But there's so many great bands that are your peers that are out there. I love that the whole movement's, you know, happening, you know.
I do too, and it's funny because we were kind of just thrown into this movement. We didn't even know it existed. It just much like the new wave of British heavy metal. All these bands were just playing what they liked, and that's why you have so many freaking so many things across the board. You know, you look back, and you have it now today too. You know, I tend to not gravitate towards the complete retro bands, to be honest.
Okay,
I feel like as much as I respect their freedom to do it, I would never take that away from them, right? But I feel like by pretending it's 1984 when you were born in 1994 and adopting the fashion completely and trying to copy the songwriting to a T, it makes what this scene is a total novelty when you could still go out and see Priest and Maiden today, you know? So I tend to not gravitate towards that. Again, that's just personal. Again, I'm not taking anything away from people that want to do that. It's completely their right. And people and fans love it. So that's just my own individual opinion, which holds no weight for anybody but me. But I'll say, I don't know, Night Demon, Haunt, Enforcer, High Spirits, Unto Others, which used to be, I mean, they're more of a goth rock band, I guess, but they have that metal tinge, and they're kind of we all came up together, you know.
Cool.
They're good friends of ours. I'm just trying to name the bands that have kind of lasted and weathered the storm and have like broken through to another plane, that like Visigoth, you know, these are the bands that, you know, Savage Master, I got to throw them in there. See, again, I'm going to forget somebody, but these are the bands that I think are going to be remembered from this time period. You know, these are the bands that are transcending a lot of boundaries and throwing their own originality into a classic sound, and like are doing something that we might not know now, but it's definitely important. And you never know when it happens, but I kind of have the foresight to see that the bands that I've mentioned have made albums that are going to be around way longer than us, you know. So I won't name albums. I apologize.
No, that's good.
There's so
bands
many,
are great.
and I really apologize to everybody I haven't mentioned. I mean, there's so many fantastic bands, you know, that are doing this. I wish they would stay around longer. And a lot of the younger bands break up because they get discouraged. I wish they would tour more. I wish they would sacrifice it all. We did. It was hard for a long time, but it was definitely worth it, you know?
Cool.
Yeah.
Awesome.
All right. Well, then, all right, Jarvis, it's like you were setting me up here. This is almost like a layup, like a basketball layup here.
That's my favorite sport of all time. I could talk we could do a whole basketball podcast if you want. Yeah.
Oh, well, so, all right, well, we'll table that though. But so I mean, that's what Support Life and Music is all about, and so this question is kind of geared towards that. We're Metal Asylum here right now, but that's what, you know, you and I have been chatting on the side a little bit about, really, because the music life, I think people underestimate just how hard it is, as so many people get discouraged. And actually, I mean, the suicide rate is scary in the music world. So I'm putting it to you as someone who manages bands and is around that
Mhm.
world. I mean, what's your advice to other musicians to kind of just to persevere and stick it out and not give in to despair and keep going?
Well, you need a purpose, you know? So I don't know. The first best thing I ever did was get sober,
Mm.
and I can't say it any other way. I don't discourage people who party. I've drank, I've done more cocaine than most people. I survived it. I was functional during it, but there were times, man, I would be on a hotel balcony on the 20th floor and just wonder what, I could just jump off this thing right now and end it all, and it's hard. There were moments of despair. There still are, but the best thing I ever did ever was get sober. Ever. Life has gotten so much better since then. And you have a sense of pride with that, there's a lot of substances we use these things to dull our senses. Sometimes we can't pinpoint to what it is, but being on the stage is the same as being out in person with a family member that you're uncomfortable with or anything. Facing the uncomfortableness of life is a necessity to grow. There's two kinds of pain. There's the pain of working out a muscle and allowing it to grow, or there's the pain of sitting around and doing nothing because you're afraid, and those are going to cause a lot of problems that you're going to have to deal with later on. And you're going to have major regrets. And the art life is work. People say, oh, I don't want to do this anymore because it wasn't fun anymore. I don't want to be in this band anymore. It wasn't fun anymore. I don't want to be a musician I don't want to be a painter anymore. It's not fun anymore because business got involved. Well, it's not supposed to be fun. Hobbies are fun and they're passive, but a mission and a goal and the art life is about struggle. And once you can embrace the struggle, your whole attitude changes. When you see a problem come at you, when you see a hurdle, you're like, this is the design. It was designed to be this way. How can I challenge myself to jump that hurdle, But when you're dead, it's over. Okay. Like when I believe in the afterlife and all that, but like our human experience, when you're gone, you're gone. And to anybody who's on the fence about leaving this world by their own accord, everybody's going to say, call a suicide hotline, talk to somebody. You don't know until you're there. There's nothing anybody could tell you in your life, to be honest. I mean, yeah, I'm not saying don't do that, but you go through a traumatic breakup or you get kicked out of your band or things seem like you've hit rock bottom. Trust me, it can always get worse. But one guarantee is that it will always get better. It will always get better. And so if anybody's ever thinking about that, my advice is just go to sleep. That's it. Go to sleep, wake up the next day. Right when you think that everything is as worse as it's going to be, something happens. Something always happens. A bright light shines in your life and there's a reason, there's a purpose. But you need to find your own purpose. And there's a lot of exercises that people can do. One of the ones that I tell people a lot, and this is just for career goals or life goals or whatever, a great exercise is to just draw a line down the center of a blank sheet of paper, and in the left column, write all the things that you don't want. And then on the right side, just write the complete opposite. Cut the paper in half, throw the left side away, and now you have the things that you want. You can focus on those things. They're complete opposites of what you don't want. And once you start talking about what you do want and what you don't want, the focus completely shifts to that, and everything, the sun is fucking brighter, and you really have a different outlook, and it's all about your attitude, but I practice transcendental meditation. That's helped a lot. Visualization techniques, writing my goals down every day, having something to work for, having a goal and chunking it down to daily activities. Once you have a purpose, you don't even need anybody else in your life, and the right people will come along. But it's everybody's different, but you know, lay back on the substances, even if it's food. I mean, there's such poison out there in the world, you know. It's all socially acceptable, all this stuff, but once you can see through the matrix, you know, you'll realize like there's a lot of chemical stuff going on with people that affects your mindset, that once you can get rid of the stuff that's ailing you physically, you can more easily channel the stuff you want to mentally.
It's great.
Yeah. Wow. Well, I mean, thanks for sharing that, by the way. Thanks for, you know, sharing that. And I'm glad you're here.
It's my
man.
personal experience. It's my personal experience. Like I said, everybody's different, but just try those things. You've got nothing to lose and everything to gain.
Well, right, also congratulations on Sobriety too. Kudos.
Yes, thank you.
Great.
Thank you. And look, it doesn't have to be hard. Again, that's another attitude thing. There's so much strength that comes with that. And when you can go out to a bar and hang out with people and realize how stupid they get and how stupid you used to be, and you can go home sober. Oh, another rule, nothing good ever happens after midnight. Ever. So get home by midnight. Get home by 11:30 on a Saturday night and watch Saturday Night Live or Headbangers Ball if you were born a long time ago. You know what I mean? But really, there's a strength that comes to it, and you don't have to get on people about it. But people they'll admire you. They'll look up to that strength, and you can be a leader amongst men.
Nice.
And then you have a purpose.
Yeah.
That's great stuff, man. All right, Rich, why don't you take? I know we only got a couple minutes left, but Rich, why don't you take us?
I don't know if we asked you to let this the last time. Have you ever thought of adding a second guitarist?
Yeah, we wanted to when we started. We just didn't know anybody. That's why we were a three-piece by necessity. I didn't even want to be the singer. You know, no, yeah, we did. But once we did things out of necessity, and the innovation grew out of that, you know. I was never a Rush fan, but I respected them. And we've kind of become a band like that, you know. And there's a lot of stuff we do musically now and that we're in the process of doing that is just it's amazing, you know. And it is what makes us stand out now. And we have a very, very heavy sound. You're not missing that second guitar, trust me. So yeah, but that's all out of necessity, and that's you give what you take what life gives you and take it as far as you can go, you know. But we never found a person that fit with what we were doing, and we quit our jobs. We were homeless. We went for it. We needed somebody to be on board. He couldn't be you know, just in it for the short term. So we did what we had to do.
And plus, between the guitar and the bass, you guys create a lot of harmony and melody as it is.
Absolutely. And it's difficult to do that. And it took a long time to figure it out, but we committed to it, and it's become a signature of ours.
True. That's true.
And like Rush, I mean, you got three super, I mean, I'm not just floating your boat here, man. You got like three super talented.
Float it. I'm ready.
I mean, it's just three super talented musicians. I mean, I've also seen Brian with Hellwitch. The guy, man, what a killer drummer. Like this guy is.
And like, it's funny because like when you talk about doing new stuff, what I did was I didn't even listen to the last Hellwitch album. I didn't even listen to it. I just told the engineer, send me the drum tracks. And so I got the drum tracks, and I'm like, let me write like Night Demon over these drum tracks and see what happens. You know what I mean? Like, right? Like, let's instead of asking Brian to give me drum ideas for Night Demon, let me take his idea from a death metal band, and like, let's just see what happens. I don't know. It might inspire me to do something else, you know? So that's the kind of thing that's our thought process.
Excellent. Well, I mean, I don't know if you have, like I said, we can. I mean, I'm not in a hurry, but
no, I'm not either.
Well, I was gonna say one of the questions we usually say for the end is to say what is coming up. You know, I mean, you kind of, like I say, you dropped a little bomb that maybe it'll be a little while for another album, but
yeah, it will.
But what's coming up in 2025 for Night Demon and for you? I know you've got a bunch of things you're doing. You're not just Night Demon. So tell us what your 2025 looks like.
So Curse of the Damned is turning 10 this year, our first album. We have a box set coming out, it's got like 3 vinyl, a VHS tape, 2-hour tape of the touring cycle of that. It's got a bunch of cool little extras in there, a demo tape with 20 demo songs. We've got an action figure coming out. We're working with some of the guys over that were at Super 7. Yeah.
Is it going to be the guy? Is it going to be
It's
him?
him. Yeah. His name is
That's
Eugene.
awesome.
His
That's
name is
awesome.
Eugene. Yep. Uh-huh.
If you guys don't have the
So
vinyl, get the vinyl. It's so cool.
yeah,
Gatefold.
yeah. And we have a
Love it.
box set coming out that has 3 vinyl for that.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
awesome.
So yeah. And we're doing some anniversary shows for that album at Wacken, and we're doing one in Transylvania next to Dracula's Castle, which is incredible.
Really?
Yeah, we're doing some UK shows. We're doing
So
the
cool.
We're doing the Cart and Horses in London. We're doing 2 nights in London. Doing
Mhm.
some shows in Ireland. Tomorrow we are announcing we are taking that show. We're doing it at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in Cleveland. So that'll be a pretty monumental thing for us. We've got a lot of fans out there. That album took the #1 spot on WJCU for the fan polls when it came out in 2015. So that'll be a good homecoming for that. We may announce some other US shows. I'm not sure, but we are planning a big support tour for the fall that I can't announce yet, but we're going to be supporting some of our heroes. We'll be
Cool.
coming back to the US to do that.
Nice.
And we have a huge project in the works right now for Outsider, our concept album that we are currently touring on. And I'm sorry I'm not allowed to say what this is, but when this thing comes out, it's something like you've never seen a band like us do. And it's very ambitious. It's been in the works for a long time, but it's going into production soon. And it's definitely something that we want to release before the next album. The next album is being written. We've already recorded some stuff for it, but we're taking our time with it, and it'll come out when it comes out.
Do you think you'll do a single like you usually do? Put out a single first?
Yeah, the labels always want that. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. But we'll try and make the pre-order period down to 6 weeks instead of like 90 days and not milk it too much, you know?
All right. Rich, you got anything else?
I think we got everything. The only thing that we didn't ask him, which I think you're going to ask him, was, are you still doing management? Are you doing Cirith Ungol, and are you still playing with them?
Yeah, I mean, I manage a handful of bands. It's been the same bands pretty much forever, and we're kind of like tied to each other by life. And these are like the 5 bands that I think are some of the most important underground bands. Again, like after we're dead and gone, these bands are going to have a legacy, and that is Satan, Visigoth, Cirith Ungol, Midnight, and Night Demon. And that's our gang. And you know, I help a lot of other bands a lot. Bands that I love, but I generally don't charge them any money, and I'm just here to help the scene, you know. And
Awesome.
I'm an artist, and I'm also, you know, in the music business, and I've spent a lifetime educating myself on it, and I think that it's important to help guide younger bands, younger artists that are flying the flag high, and make sure that they're protected, you know, and make sure that they are represented. And that's kind of like my philanthropy, I guess, if you could say. And it's a great feeling when you can actually legitimately help somebody else.
Yeah.
And you know, when the tide rises, all boats float higher. We don't want to be the only band doing this. I mentioned earlier that a lot of newer generation bands don't stick it out, you know, and I wish they would. And so anybody that comes on the scene that I can help in any positive way, like I'm so about to do that. Anything that I could teach somebody to shorten the learning curve for them, or connect them with people that they need to be connected with, like I'm all about it, you know.
That's so cool.
One thing I will say that will apply to you guys is we got to get Cirith Ungol in the Hall of Fame. I mean, it's like these guys are still around. It's criminal that they're not, and like they have legions of fans and are such an important band that have influenced so many bands that have come after them that have been have seen much success. So if that's ever a thing, if we could ever get them on the ballot, it would be phenomenal.
Good idea.
It's a great, you know, I'll be blunt, that name doesn't come up a lot, but that's
Sure.
I couldn't agree more though. I mean, this band has so much history, and there's such a vital part. I mean, I just remember going to Vintage Vinyl, and those records always stood out.
They were the first heavy metal band to release their own album. They popularized a lot of the Michael Whalen artwork They inspired bands like Celtic Frost, Candlemass to do what they do. They were pretty much the first band on Metal Blade. You know, I mean, the list goes on and on. But like, if they're ever up for the ballot or consideration, and even if it comes to a vote with the public, I'm totally cool with that. So it would be a cool thing.
Awesome. Jack, you still there? Jack, I think we lost Jack.
Oh, did we?
I don't know. I can't hear him.
Yeah, I can't either. He's like,
Jack, you're not there. Well, you're there, but we can't hear you.
Did he mute his microphone?
I think he's frozen.
Oh, he is, huh?
He's frozen.
Frozen. That was the most opportune time. Yeah, we'll consider that.
At the very end, we'll wrap it up. Oh, there he is.
There he is.
Yeah.
At the very end, you froze up.
Yeah, I was so shocked. Yeah, it's technology.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was dodging the question since you put us in the spot.
Yeah.
This was just like, sorry, not hearing you. No.
What's that?
No, I'm in your corner on that. I think I have so much history for sure. That's a great call.
Yeah, they're totally influential. Totally.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of funny. You know what's funny is like if they were inducted into the Hall of Fame, the speakers that you could get to induct them, like the caliber of those people on that list would probably be higher than some of the more popular bands, believe it or not. I really do feel, I mean, I'm serious. I really do feel, I mean, there's obviously some give-ins, you know, but I mean, you guys got Riot in there, you know, I mean, they're good buddies of ours, but like, you know, how about the guys that are still living? You know what I mean? Get them in now, and that are still performing at a high level, you know. They're on caliber with bands that are in there, or I wouldn't bring it up, you know. And no disrespect to Riot, because those guys are all great friends of ours, and I've just hung out with them recently, you know. So
yeah, they're absolutely worthy. But I mean, Brian Slagle, I was there the year that he was inducted. Yeah, he'd be someone who I'm sure would speak up for them.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, it's a good call. I mean, you've touched on kind of a tricky thing because, you know, I mean, as with anything, it's challenging. Sometimes bands have demands, or they can't travel, or they can't, you know, like there's all kinds of complications as to why people are like, why isn't Black Sabbath in yet? It's like, well, they're like, oh, it's not like, oh, we didn't think of that. Black what? Who are they?
Right.
Well, the Heavy Metal Hall of Fame, though, as it stands now, is a very cool and unique thing. And it's like, do you really need to praise like A-listers that, you know, everybody knows that they're in all of the Hall of Fames. There's monuments to them in their own towns, and there's going to be more to come. You know, they'll have their time, you know. I mean,
sure,
it's fine, but the stuff you guys are doing is cool, man. You know, the stuff,
thanks.
The bands that you guys are bringing in, I mean, they are important, and it brings more awareness to them, to the people that pay attention to this kind of stuff. That's way more important than something like that. You know, I feel like a Black Sabbath brings more importance to the organization versus you bringing importance to them. You know what I mean? And if you were to approach a band like that, you know, and they slagged you off for whatever reason because it's not recognized enough, you know, I mean, the stuff that is recognized is a joke, you know, it's a joke. So just, you guys are doing the right thing. Don't worry about any of that stuff.
Well, what we do at the Hall, I'm not sure if you know, but we do write a lot of articles. We talk about bands that should be inducted so that their name is out there and recognize their importance, so that hopefully, you know, in the future they're considered or inducted. Even you guys, we talk about in the new wave of traditional heavy metal, so people know that there's this new generation out there as well, not just the legacy bands. So
I mean, I'm sure
them,
I appreciate that, and I'm sure Night Demon's time will come too. But here's the thing: you guys are real guys, and you're real music fans, and you understand that awards for art is a strange thing. It's hard. So to put yourself into that position anyway, you're in a good position to champion bands, and that gives you more purpose for giving awards for art than popularity. Popularity awards are terrible for art.
It's true.
It's what kills art.
True.
It's what kills art.
Yep, absolutely true.
You know,
Yeah.
champion bands that are unique and that have made a real difference.
Yeah.
So that you're doing a service that you're exposing people to things that will inspire them, not
when I
things that
get
are
to
household names.
when I get to that article, because I haven't done the U.S. too much yet. I've done a lot of European bands so far.
Yeah.
But when I get to like a Cirith Ungol, I'll totally put them in my article.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I'm not trying to force you here, man.
No, I agree. I'm glad you brought them up because I totally agree. Yeah.
But if you don't, I'll write an article about you saying that you're a poser because you didn't. I'm not joking. Yeah.
The first line would be Jarvis made me write about this band.
That's it. Hey, whatever gets it there.
You're keeping me on my toes, man.
Whatever gets it in there.
Right.
Whatever gets it in there. You know.
It's a good point. I like it.
But this takes us back to what we were talking about in the beginning. I love it. Like for all of us, Tigers of Pantang, for example, is in our blood. I mean, we know this band.
It's another one.
Not necessarily a household name. If I were to go to call it my aunt, who lives in Indiana, and say like, "Hey, what do you think of them?" She'd be like, "I don't know what that is." She's heard of Metallica. I know what a Metallica is, but they like so. But it's important. So I'm agreeing.
Like Jarvis is saying, this is for the art's sake of it, for the real. That's why it's the Metal Hall of Fame, because it's for metalheads and rockers that are the real fans of this music, not just the popular name. So it's
like let the mainstream have Metallica. They've brought it on. They already have them. You know what I mean? We don't have them anymore. They've graduated, and so but there's no Metallica without Tigers, dude. Okay,
right. There's Diamond Head and everybody else from the new wave.
There's no John Sykes is not playing on Thunder and Lightning if he's not in Tigers. Okay,
right.
You know what I mean? These are seminal bands, man, and they're struggling more than Night Demon. They are.
Mm-hmm.
They're not getting on major tours. Give them a shake, man. Like they've earned it. There's no Night Demon without Tigers. Not a chance in hell.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
we're not talking right now. We're not talking right now without those guys, dude.
I know.
Yeah, well, that like you said, that whole crew and the bands not just the Priests and the Maidens. I know Priest isn't NWOBHM. I know, but
somewhat.
Yeah, sure. I know there's a lot of debate. If you go to a NWOBHM Facebook page,
well, there's no NWOBHM without Priest. That's for sure.
Yes, exactly. Fair point.
Exactly.
But the Witchfinder Generals, like those bands, those are so critical and so important. And it's,
absolutely,
it's so true. That's why Lars flew over to England to hang out with those guys, and they all thought, "Who's this kid? Who's this kid?" But and then with Metallica, as you said, like they became the leaders of the vanguard. They helped define.
They went on to do something great, and without them, again, we probably wouldn't be talking. I mean, they raised the bar for everybody, not to compete with them, but so that we would know who they are, and they did everything they could for metal, and they did a damn good job of it. And now they can do whatever they want,
Yeah.
Well, actually, I think this leads to maybe I know I said my last question was like a half hour.
Whatever. Keep going.
So, but this is perfect, kind of a good segue, because you guys, Night Demon, you're known for doing some excellent covers. I mean, of course, Wasted Years, Lightning to the Nations. I mean, so can you drop some hints about any covers you guys are thinking of doing in the near future?
Yeah, I mean, like we've kind of been talking about like In Excess, Oingo Boingo. Like we're done with the. I mean, we got to have Uli John Roth join us on stage, at a festival he wasn't even at, and we put that record out. Like we've kind of said what we wanted to say about that stuff. I mean, but I say that now, but there might be some, you might hear Gangland, or something, but
awesome.
But I don't know. We like to reimagine other things that we like that aren't in the metal consciousness. You know what I mean? So maybe those couple bands I mentioned, maybe a new wave song or a new wave band, a deep cut, like not a hit. You know what I mean?
Like Duran Duran, maybe?
It's funny. My first band ever was called Duran Duran Duran. Yeah.
That's awesome.
No, I actually personally dislike that band a lot. I never liked any of their tunes. Yeah, they were I liked more of the darker, you know, like more moody kind of stuff from that era. I was never a Duran Duran fan.
Depeche Mode or The Cure,
I
something like that.
love Depeche Mode. I love everything about that band up through Violator. The Cure, not so much. Yeah, I respect them a lot, but that's not for us, you know. Maybe something off Pornography. You know, there's a couple like 100 Days or like the real early Cure stuff, man. Some of that stuff's pretty cool. But no. Yeah, but along the lines of maybe a Depeche Mode or something like that. If we could do it right, a lot of metal bands have covered Depeche Mode though. So I really don't know yet. But I did mention Oingo Boingo. I have this vision in my mind of doing Dead Man's Party,
Oh my God.
which was a hit, but I would only do it if Joey Vera played bass and I could play second guitar, so 19 would have 2 guitars on that because I worked out a little harmony line for that, and John Bush would duet with me on vocals. So that's the only way I would do it, but I probably will pitch it to those guys, and I think that could be really cool.
That
All
would
right.
be.
If you guys are watching, you know, Joey Vera is
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah.
No, that's such a great song. It's just a killer. So we actually danced that at my wedding. It's not exactly
that's amazing.
Song, yeah.
If you remember the movie, the Rodney Dangerfield movie, Back to School, they play that Oingo's playing at the house party at the college, and the main character, which is his son, was the same guy. I forget his name, but the actor's name, but he played Arnie in Christine. And Robert Downey Jr. is like his best buddy, like his sidekick. And they're playing the song at the party. And Robert Downey Jr. just turns up all the faders on the mixer and it like blows up. And I'm just like, man, I've got a metal version of that song, you know? So
awesome. Let's do it.
Yeah. Love to hear it. That's great. All right, Rich, like I said, I know we got a bunch of, I think I'm mostly through my list. What did you got, Rich?
I think I'm good. I think we should have him back. And I want to talk about all these great Kiss songs.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, God,
right?
there's
that has
so
to be an
many,
episode of itself.
There's some great, you know, the books that have been written are an incredible reference. You know, there's some great stuff about Kiss, and there's so many people involved in the story of Kiss, and so many people on the side that do not get any credit. I'd like to talk about a lot of those people because they're very, very, very important.
Let's do another episode.
We could talk about the NBA or whatever, you know.
Cool.
You know, it's March Madness right now, you know. Well, it's just over, but yeah, you know, we can anything you guys want to talk about. We could talk about how Phoenix was the greatest metal town and now it's not. We could talk about all kinds of stuff. Anything you guys want, man. I'm always down to talk to real people who really love fucking music. Yeah. So
that's awesome. Well, it's great having you back on, too.
Thank you guys so very much. Thank you. Anytime, okay?
Oh, yeah. And you're welcome back anytime. Yeah, we definitely have to have you on again. But all right, well, thanks everyone out there for watching. The giant finger's gonna come in and hit the record, but we're doing this on my phone. So hang on. Awkward. All right, thanks.
I think Jarvis froze up. Oh no,
I'm here.
See you. All right, guys. Thanks.